Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra's Toldos. The Talmud discussed a case of Jews who sell non-kosher meat to a Gentile. Due to two factors, the sages said that one may not sell meat from an unslaughtered animal carcass to a Gentile. One, because it misleads the Gentile, for he thinks that he's buying kosher meat, which is more desirable. And another factor is the concern the Gentile might sell the meat to another Jew, who thinks it's kosher since it was originally sold by a Jew. The Talmud's discussion was the basis for this statement of the Rambam. It is forbidden for man to demean himself by the use of language of flattery and falsehood. He shouldn't be one thing with his mouth and another with his heart, but he must be the same inside and out. Tocho kabaro. The subject of the heart is the matter of his mouth. It's forbidden to trick people, even the mind of a Gentile. Even one word of trickery is forbidden. But man must be honest, steadfast spirit, and a pure heart, free from all falsehood. The Talmud's discussion and Rambam's statement provide the perfect background for an episode in this week's Torah portion. The Torah portion reads, when Esav was 40 years old, he married Yehudit, daughter of Beeri the Chiti, and Basmat, daughter of Elon the Chiti. And they were a source of bitterness to Yitzchak and Rivka. Rashi harshly criticized Esav's choice of partners. Esav, Rashi wrote, is compared to a pig. When it lies down, the pig stretches out its cloven hooves forward, as much as say, see, I'm a kosher animal. In the same way, Esav robs, extorts, and pretends to be honorable. The Radak added to it. He said, the reason why Esav didn't marry until he was 40 years old was that he wanted to emulate his father, who had also married at the age of 40. He wanted to create the impression that he was walking in the footsteps of his father. However, he didn't observe his father's ways, the Radak says. For Esav's father Yitzchak had not been allowed to marry a woman of Canaanite descent. Esav followed his eyes, judged by external appearances, not ancestry and personal virtues. He had not bothered to consult with his father. He was guided by the influence of the family of his wives wielded in the land of Canaan. For after mentioning the names of the wives, it becomes clear that the father of each was a well-known personality. Rashi explained why Esav's wives were a source of bitterness to Yitzchak and Rivka, because they worshipped idols. The Radak wrote that these women actively engaged in causing anger and frustration to Yitzchak and Rivka. The whole story would then have as its purpose to show how disdainful Esav was of the sensitivities of his parents. He did not even protest his wives' behavior or move them out of the patriarchal home. Esav was known as an evil person. His poor reputation stemmed from his reputation as a murderer and an adulterer. In the episode of Esav's marriages, we learn another source of Esav's poor character, his deceitful personality. Esav's trickery, mimicking his father's choice of age to get married in order to look like a righteous person, but marrying partners who were actually idol worshippers, and the exact opposite of who he should have married, was the foundation of his evil character. Every mitzvah has two parts to it, the action and the legal objective. The actions are the steps we are commanded to take, the Maisa HaMitzvah. The objectives are the fulfillment of the mitzvah, the Kiyum HaMitzvah. Esav copied his father's steps, but neglected to fulfill the objective. Yitzchak waited until he was 40 to marry in order to find a God-fearing woman who would influence him properly. Esav waited until he was 40, but married the wrong type of woman, completely missing the objective. This lesson applies just as much today as it did back then. When fulfilling mitzvah, we must ensure that we're not just going through the motions. We need to fulfill the objective of the mitzvah as well. Shabbat Shalom.